Mermaids, yes or no?
Longer answer than you may think.
Okay, darn.
There have been some genetic creations that would be similar to that in Atlantean times that may have given rise to some of those legends. In terms of them existing physically as a species on your Earth, no, but they are part of the nature world that again is a slightly altered, shifted vibrational reality to yours that sometimes overlaps in your reality, and therefore sometimes people who are sensitive to it can sometimes perceive those kinds of beings, but they don't exist in your normal physical reality.
All right. Dragons?
Similar idea. Again, they are beings that are of a higher dimensional level that you can interact with, but they exist between the planes of dimensions. They are never presenting themselves in your physical reality as the dragon that you think they do. They look quite different when they come into your reality. But the idea is that you perceive them in the way that you do when they're in their own natural state in between the dimensions. But they are higher levels of wisdom.
Megalodon.
Well, that exists. It's a giant shark.
Does it exist right now?
Several do.
Yes!
In the very depths of your oceans.
Awesome.
And a few other things you haven't found yet.
Oh, cool. Way cool. How about a hollow earth?
No, not physically.
Okay.
Again, people that may have, without intending to, crossed through different dimensional vortices may find themselves in a reality that because of their understanding of physical reality, they think actually physically is inside the Earth, when in fact they're no longer on the Earth anywhere at all.
Really?
So they just make the assumption when they come back through that particular portal that they've actually physically been inside the Earth, and they haven't. They've been somewhere else.
So there is, in a sense, something special about the idea of Sasquatch being the original hominid form that evolved on your planet. Now, you already have heard us talk about how cats can see into other dimensions, dogs can see spirits, and so on and so forth. Well, because it's more connected to nature, the Sasquatch hominid already had these abilities and was able, because they are a hominid, to push them with thought processes into a different form of recognition, recognizing parallel realities more clearly, and learning over time how to identify with those parallel realities so strongly, or other dimensions so strongly, that they began to shift into them just by the focus that they concentrated on with regard to their relationship to those particular dimensions or parallel realities, which the animals don't need to do per se. Although there are some animals that can slip in out of other dimensions from time to time. Some insects have this ability, some mammals have this ability, though it's relatively rare because it's relatively unnecessary for them to do so. However, hominids, being a little bit different in the sense of being the foundation of Homo sapiens, had the ability to contemplate certain things and focus on certain other dimensional or parallel realities they were perceiving with their natural abilities. And so in focusing that way, gave themselves the ability to actually shift in directions that most animals don't need to.
About the crop circle phenomena, which I'm
Yes.
really very interested in, and
You're
I
seeing
love the beauty
slices of a
them.
much higher dimensional form. You're only seeing a slice, a two-dimensional slice of a higher dimensional form that is the product of the collective consciousness of your world, and it's engaged with the consciousness of other realities, including the consciousness of nature itself. Wow. You're giving yourself messages and learning how to read them from a higher perspective. It's like having a communication dialogue literally with the collective higher consciousness of the entire planet.
Wow.
You're talking to Gaia. The Earth is expressed like anything in a number of dimensions. In some dimensions, you would perceive the planet as two-dimensional, flat in your language, as you say. But that's a perception of another dimensional expression of the Earth. The Earth in your dimension isn't flat. It's a sphere because that's how it's expressed in your dimensions, 3 of space and 1 of time. And there are higher dimensional versions of the Earth as well. But when people start expanding and exploring their consciousness in new ways, sometimes they can take some things a little too literally in the same dimension when what they're perceiving is aspects of things in other dimensions, because now their senses can stretch far enough to see that. But they sometimes misunderstand and assume that what they're perceiving in another dimension is actually the truth of this dimension, and it's not.
Did the world face a catastrophic event in the 1980s that erased history that caused the Mandela Effect? And if not, what is the Mandela Effect?
Now, sometimes it's just an issue of a person's memory being a little bit out of alignment. However, there is a true Mandela Effect, and the Mandela Effect is that every single moment that you redefine yourself in the present, you're actually changing the past. But as you expand your consciousness, sometimes you can now contain the memory of more than one past. And therefore, some people might say, no, history went this way, and they can be true about that. And another person can say, no, I completely remember it differently, and they can be true about that. So it's possible now, as you expand your consciousness, to remember more than one history, because you're changing your past every single time you change your present. But when you do that, for the most part, the idea of the past you now know was always your past has to present itself as if it was always your past for it to make sense linearly in your physical reality terms. But 5 minutes ago, you may not have had the same past at all. But whatever the new past is will make itself seem like that's always been the way the past was in order for you to live a life that makes sense in the present. But you're changing your past every moment that you change the present.
I always felt that there was a crystal skull buried under the sea.
You are talking about the master skull, the zero skull.
Yes, I am.
For that is the central seat of ancient Atlantis, is in the Bahamian Islands, in parts of Florida, in parts of what you now call Cuba and Puerto Rico. The empire stretched far and wide from there, but that was the central seat in that area. When the ocean level was much lower, you can see the larger landmass that was there before the oceans rose and inundated the central system of the Atlantean Islands. Why do you think there is a Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, that's what I felt. That must be the powerhouse for that, is that the powerhouse?
The zero skull.
Zero skull.
Creates in the natural portal that exists in that area massive interdimensional fluctuations. It's not the powerhouse. The portal is natural, but the zero skull affects it in a very specific way that allows it to keep shifting interdimensionally in unpredictable ways at this point, because it is no longer focused. It's like, well, I'll just use this particular euphemism that most of you will understand. It's sort of like somebody left the stove on. But no one has access to turn it off anymore or to focus it properly. So it's still running, so to speak, by interacting with the portal, but in an uncontrolled manner.
Specifically in the United States, the western area.
Mount Shasta is a chakra point. Sedona is a vortex. The Bermuda Triangle is a vortex.
Is there any significance between Los Angeles and Las Vegas being these two major cities?
Of course there is a difference.
I mean, and energy-wise, is there any activity underneath the city?
You can see the difference.
Right.
Now, the idea, as we illustrated yesterday of your time, is that between Sedona and Shasta, there's a direct connecting line of energy. And we demonstrated that the area you call Area 51 is smack, as you say, on that line. You follow?
Right.
This is primarily because they understand that ships navigate better on that line of energy. And so it is also functioning as a doorway for ships to come through, and for the ships that they are retrofitting and retro-engineering to operate in that wavelength, in that frequency. It gives them a little bit of a push, shall we say. Now, your city of Las Vegas is slightly off that line.
Right.
The idea, therefore, you will find, is that it draws and taps into that energy to some degree, but kind of at a skewed angle.
Right.
Is that not a perfect description of Las Vegas?
Hence Sin City.
However you wish to interpret that.
Right.
This is the energy relationship. Los Angeles, and again, the idea being that it is no accident what things are called, is an opportunity for it to literally become a city of the angels vibrationally. But that is up to you.
Right.
The vortex is there that allows for that potential, but it is up to all of you to align with it and demonstrate that vibrational state.
The Nazca lines
Yes.
in Peru,
Yes.
who made those?
What you would call the indigenous beings, with some ancient understandings of technology. Some of it will be that which comes from off-world, but which became incorporated into the indigenous societies that existed at the time, sufficiently enough that they could, in that sense, call it their own, plus an understanding that they had gleaned with their own intuitive powers of how to amplify the ability to do those things simply by tapping into the infinite.
What purpose did the designs
A
serve?
number of purposes. They did, to some degree, function as markers, but the idea is that they were also used as an understanding of laying out geometric proportions that symbolized and represented a concept that you don't really have at this point in your world, in almost any culture. And it would be something like the idea of now what is going on with the crop circles, but in a very rudimentary form, in that they contain an implication of the mathematical information and ratios that underlie the template of physical reality. At the same time, they were also used ritualistically, in the understanding of being able to describe the formations, certain of the formations, from high above, through the idea of the accomplishment of what you call astral projection, in that as you leave your body, so to speak, and are then capable of describing what you see below, which can only be seen from the air, then it would be known by the teacher that you'd actually accomplished the astral projection, because there'd be no other way you could describe it. It was also used as the idea of the exemplification of ley lines on your planet, but from a very different kind of context, and also an exemplification of connections to other dimensional realms. In other words, many of those lines literally point to vortex spots that are literally doorways to other realms. It is also a map, a dimensional, an interdimensional map that leads directly to vortex spots.
What about the pyramids and the face on Mars? Are there any other artifacts on Mars?
Well, there is the pyramid that we talked about that we call the artifact that only some people on your planet know of, and most of you know nothing about and have not yet seen photographs of.
Okay, because the face on Mars we've seen photographs of. Is
yes,
that real?
and we're not going to go into that at the moment.
Okay, but the main thing...
the idea of the pyramidal artifact we're talking about is not something that most of your population is aware of yet.
Oh, cool. Well,
there is another pyramid that has yet to be found by the majority of your population, although it has been seen by a few members of your population in some of the photographs that were taken by one of your orbiting satellites around Mars. But this has not been revealed yet to the public.
Moon may be hollow?
It is not hollow. There are underground bases there. It has some large cavern areas in it. It's not completely hollow, but there are artificially constructed engineering devices within it.
Okay, because also it doesn't rotate like other moons do, so...
Well, it's tidally locked to your planet.
Gotcha.
It does rotate. It's just that its rotation is exactly the same as its orbit.
Okay. So is there anyone living there now?
Well, there are bases that are inhabited by different extraterrestrial species, now and then, yes.
Can you say which ones?
We have a few bases on your moon. The Yael have a few bases on your moon.
Okay.
Some ancient bases from the Anunnaki still exist there that are used by different beings coming and going now and then.
Okay. Was it brought here? Is it like a ship?
No.
Okay.
It is a natural object that was created through the idea of a collision of your planet with another, and it broke off. But it has been put into position artificially, and it has been artificially engineered within to maintain certain gravitational and vibrational balances for your planet to allow you to evolve in a certain window of timing.
You talk about the moon landing that we experienced and what we were shown in the film, and if that was real, or if there was another moon landing, or if we've actually ever been there?
You absolutely have been there. Now, some things have been edited out, so let's just say you didn't see the whole truth, but you have been there. And any one of you can actually verify that quite easily with a powerful enough telescope. You can see the things you left on the moon, you know. You understand?
I do. Can we see things that other people left on the moon? Or other beings left on the moon?
Well, you have. Again, sometimes that's edited out of your collective information base, but many of you are already aware that people have photographed remnants of extraterrestrial bases and other things that have been placed on the moon for a variety of reasons from different civilizations. So some of you are aware that there are artifacts there.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the pyramids. So
which ones?
Since there are so many pyramids in Egypt and in Asia, is there also an era of when those were built and for a certain like global meaning when they were built?
The oldest ones, yes. Approximately 10,500 BC, as you call it. And they had great understanding of what they were doing. Then the knowledge was lost over time, and a lot of the later pyramids do not function in the same way that the earlier ones did. The Great Pyramid of Giza served many different kinds of functions when it was operational, in its pristine state, not the least of which was that initiate priests, when brought into the understandings of the mysteries of creation, would be led into the king's chamber and would lie down in the stone coffer, and they would be taught to generate the gamma state in a meditation. And the stone coffer and the king's chamber was designed to amplify and magnify that gamma state to the point where it reverberated and amplified and then suddenly popped them out of their bodies. So that in astral form they could go to higher realms, gain knowledge, bring it back, and share that knowledge with society, although, of course, the priesthood usually kept those things to themselves as to how they achieved that knowledge. They would just simply dole it out as they needed to.
The pyramids, how did they move the stones? I've heard some different
The earliest
theories.
ones were moved through forms of levitation. And
Okay.
this is why we talk about the idea of the stone speakers, because when you understand the vibrations, the true vibrations of the stone, and you speak to them that way, whether with your own voices in harmony or through technological devices that can replicate those harmonies in a certain way, you can actually cancel the effect of gravity on the stone.
Something that really interests me is the excavation of the Sphinx.
Yes.
They say that it's about 8,000 years old, and
It's older than that.
yeah, and that's what I really was interested in knowing. What is it?
10,500.
Nice. So, what is in it?
Under it,
Yes.
mysteries.
Can't wait for that.
You have to.
I know. I know.
Imagine or visualize or recall a time when you may have seen a statue of Anubis. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not.
The jackal-headed god of the underworld, so to speak, Anubis. A jackal like a dog, sitting like the Sphinx, down, because that is originally what the Sphinx was, Anubis.
Thank you.
As Anubis is depicted most often in ancient Egyptian society, the Anubis jackal is sitting on a box. So is the Sphinx. Sitting on an underground box, an underground chamber of mysteries and secrets. Some of these have actually already been discovered and hidden from the public, but most have not, for it is not yet quite time for some of its mysteries to be revealed. But there are still several there in the underground box, in secret chambers that have yet to be opened and will not be opened until a deeper understanding is had of frequency, of resonance, of ratio and proportion. And when the right song is sung and the right vibration resounds, the box will reveal its secrets one after the other. This may occur anytime between now and the year you call 2050. It depends upon exactly the rate of acceleration in your society, the rate of ascension, what happens with respect to contact between your world and other civilizations in the contact window between 2025 and 2033. For even contact will not necessarily be the right time for the revelation of some of the mysteries in the box under the Sphinx. But it will come.
What was the Ark of the Covenant, and who gave Moses the 10 Commandments, if they actually occurred?
The Ark is a device that was mostly a communication device, but also could be used to channel energy in a variety of ways for a variety of purposes. It was a communication device between those humans and an extraterrestrial society. The 10 Commandments were not originally 10 commandments. They were guidelines that explained the idea of the relationship between you and creation. I am the Lord your God, thou shalt not have false gods before me, was originally delivered as the idea of, I am all that is. Anything you may think is a false god isn't, because I am everything and cannot be false. Quite a difference. You understand?
Yes.
So that's the idea that those guidelines were delivered, both through the idea of the auspices of telepathic instruction, but also the device was delivered from an extraterrestrial society that people on your planet referred to as angels of God, but they basically were an extraterrestrial society.
So when Moses went up and got the tablets and all of that?
A ship landed on top of the mountain and delivered what needed to be delivered.
Thank you.
But again, there was much misinterpretation, because it's coming from a very high dimensional level and being translated or stepped down into physical reality. And in that step down process, there can be automatic distortion and misrepresentation of concepts that come from higher levels if the filters for fear-based beliefs are, shall we say, getting in the way. You are teleporting all the time from moment to moment to moment to moment, but you are doing it in a sense, frame by frame by frame by frame, instead of understanding that you can actually, well, to use a colloquial phrase, you can actually skip some of the frames.
How do you skip them?
By understanding what you're doing to begin with. You have to understand the mechanism before you can use the mechanism in a different way. So a deeper understanding of the fact that you're already doing that will allow you more opportunity to see how you can skip some of the frames, so to speak. You're not really skipping frames, but that's the way it will feel. The idea is to live in the present, not be in a hurry to get somewhere else or be something you're not at the moment, and just act on your passion to the best you're able with no insistence on what the outcome should look like, because that's what keeps raising your vibration. And raising your vibration is what allows you to understand and have the, what? Epiphany of how to see the structure of what we're talking about and see more clearly what it is you're already doing and see how to use what you're already doing in a different way, because when you can see the structure more clearly through the epiphany vibration, then you can understand that space and time are your side effects, they're your illusions, and they become more flexible and more malleable. And then you have an insight as to how you can use them in a different way to make it appear as if you are teleporting farther and farther distances. The thing you have to understand is that distance is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. Everything is here and now. So you have to really wrap your mind around that concept deeply enough so that it's ingrained within you that you're not actually going anywhere. In a sense, you're just recreating a different location here.
Is it possible?
Anything is possible. What you're asking is it probable?
Okay, thank you. Is it probable to fly in this life with your physical body like Superman or Peter Pan?
Yes, it is probable. But what degree of probability depends upon the person's belief systems and the reason why they might choose such a thing and the need for it to happen in their reality.
Say you just wanted to fly just
Idle
for the fun of it.
curiosity doesn't usually do it.
Would your belief system have to be powerful enough to overcome gravity?
It's not about power, it's about clarity. There has to be a clear reason in how it serves you to do so, and how it may serve others for you to do so as well. There has to be a choice made within the idea of the exploration of a theme that is to the benefit of you and all concerned as to that happening. Now, that's becoming more and more probable in your reality as you get a better handle on the idea of what consciousness is and what beliefs are all about and how they manifest your physical reality experience, and the fact that it takes place within your consciousness and not really outside. So the idea really is a vibratory one, a resonance one, a frequency one. In the sense of how it happens in our reality, one of the ways we began to realize that such a thing was highly probable was when we first recognized that what you call location is actually a property of the object itself, not a place in which an object resides. So when you know that location is a property of the object and you learn to redefine the vibrational variable in the equation, the energy equation of the object, then if the location happens to be 50 feet off the ground and you impose that vibratory resonance or change that vibratory resonance within the location variable in the equation of the object, then the object must by definition start to exist 50 feet off the ground because that's its new locational variable. So it's all about frequency, it's all about resonance, it's all about knowing what your energy signature is and how your beliefs can align themselves to generate the appropriate energy signature to manifest that particular kind of an experience.
All right, this is going to be a little dark.
Oh, dark. All right, how exciting. Let's dive into darkness.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you about human shame.
Human shame. It's really a shame that humans have shame. Because you don't have to.
Let me explain.
All right, explain your shame on the plane in Spain.
So it feels like to me that I took the quote-unquote spiritual knowledge so far that all of a sudden I hit a wall. And it's like, oh, you also have to conquer your personal power.
Well, not conquer, but align with.
Right. And in doing that, it's taken me down this pretty dark journey.
Such as? For example?
Well, for example, the shame. So,
yes.
Exploring shame, understanding shame.
Yes. So that you can let go of it, yes?
Yes, but what I'm having a challenging time with now is I see it everywhere. It's like, it feels like I feel everyone's shame.
When you explore something, you see it everywhere because you're on that frequency of exploration. But so what? You're learning about it. How can you not see something if you're going to learn about it?
So it's okay to have an experience where you feel so out of alignment and you almost don't even see the people you love the way you want to.
Yes, it's okay if you're using it for a positive learning experience. So as long as you are not allowing yourself to get stuck in it, so to speak, by worrying about the fact that you're having the experience, you'll use it in a positive way instead of a negative one.
So how would you imagine I could unstuck myself?
I just told you. You understand that you're doing it for a positive learning experience. And then you'll have an overview of it rather than feeling immersed in it. You'll become more neutral as an observer of it without necessarily having to take on the qualities that you're observing. Unless you want to do it to whatever degree you need to, just to understand what the experience is like. But you'll still understand that that's why you're doing it. It won't be something that you're unconscious of doing. It'll be something you're conscious of doing for a reason. And therefore you'll remain relatively neutral or objective in the exploration. You won't get caught up in it.
Okay.
So you have to look at it that way.
I feel that I do see it that way, but it still seems very scary to me.
Then you're not looking at it that way. But again, you can understand it's all right to be scared if you understand that it's a temporary experience for learning. Let me give you an analogy.
Okay.
Do you like roller coasters?
Yes.
Are you temporarily scared when you're riding them?
Yes.
But the ride is over at one point, isn't it?
Yes.
Did you have fun being scared for a while?
Yes.
Then you're on a different roller coaster, that's all. You're on the shame coaster.
I just can't imagine what type of person I'm going to be.
That is the issue. You can't imagine it, but you can. You just need to let yourself imagine how it could be used differently and what you could learn from it in a positive way. So when you say, I can't imagine it, you're stating that as if it's a fact. It's not a fact. It's an opinion. It's a belief. It's a perspective. It's not a fact that you can't imagine how it could be something that you could learn something positive from. You can.
What
But
about...
you are not believing that you can.
I think for me, it's being able to see the person I'll be when I come out of it. I feel like I'll be
what would allow you to do that? What kind of perspective would you have to adopt that would allow you to have the kind of perspective that would work for you when you come out of it? Use your imagination right now.
Okay, ask the question again.
Thank you.
Wait, can you ask it again so I can give you the answer?
Can you use your imagination to imagine what it would look like and what it would feel like to come out of it with the lesson learned and then move on? Can you imagine seeing yourself do that?
Yes, I would imagine I would be more like you.
There you go. Then why don't you just be more like me? And then you'll be able to do it. All you have to do is imagine the version of yourself and see that version of yourself doing it, and then do what she does. Behave as she behaves. Think as she thinks. Feel as she feels. And you will be her.
And it's okay that there might be a little bit of a process?
Process is the entire point of why you're having a physical life. The process is the point. As you've heard on your planet sometimes, the journey is the destination. It's the whole reason why you're having a physical incarnation. Because you want to experience the process of change in order to have a deeper appreciation of it. So the process is the point. Whatever's happening at the moment, there's nowhere more important to be. Be in the process. That's the whole point of why you're experiencing it. To learn from the process. To change yourself and discover something new about yourself from a new perspective. You can't have a new perspective and a new discovery if you don't have a space-time process of some sort. Now, true, on the spirit level, it's a lot less, but on the physical level, it's a very specific kind of space-time process that allows you to have the experience of discovering something new and feeling that you have changed. If things were timeless, there would be no change. Yes?
Yeah.
So in order to experience the grandeur of change, the great ecstasy of having made a breakthrough, a realization, a revelation, you have to have a process of change.
So I'd like to expand on that a little more, if that's okay.
Of course.
So one of the aspects that I've been exploring that I feel both excited and also really uncomfortable with is shame as it pertains to people who have committed what we would say as evil or bad. Or...
All right. Let me stop you there for one moment because we need to clarify something here.
Sure.
There is a natural vibration within you that is a self-correcting mechanism that urges you back into alignment with your true vibration, your true self. You can interpret that sometimes as shame. But if it goes longer than about 15 seconds, it's self-judgment. And that's where you start having the difficulty. But natural anger, natural shame which may need different words, is really nothing more than an alignment process, a realignment urging, an encouragement to go back into alignment. Now, if somebody doesn't do it, and it continues, it can develop into the kind of self-judgment shame that you're talking about, where then it simply becomes a cycle of self-judgment that feels like an entrapment. But if you understand that the origin of that feeling is simply a realignment process to what is really true for you, and you don't negatively define it or judge it in that first 15 seconds, you won't actually go into the negative form of shame, of self-judgment for having felt out of alignment. You will simply go back into alignment instead of wallowing in the fact that you went out of alignment, which is self-judgment, which doesn't allow you to align. Does that help?
Yes, it's synchronistic because I wanted to ask you about perfectionism.
Well, you're perfect as you are right now. In the next moment, you will be a different kind of perfect. But whatever you are right now is a perfect version of what you are. So you can't be a more perfect version of what you are right now. When you change, you will be a different version. And that version will be perfect for what it is. But perfectionism in the sense of self-judgment, again, goes back to the idea that you're not good enough as you are.
So what permission slip would you give to me or to humanity about this judgment and this realizing it's okay to come out
All
of
right,
alignment?
there are many different kinds, of course, of permission slips that you could find yourself attracted to, but I can give you a very, 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 very basic and very simple one if you wish.
I'll take it.
Get over yourself. Get over yourself. So what? That's the mantra. All right, I went out of alignment. So what? I recognize that now. Is that what I prefer? No. Do I prefer to go back into alignment? Yes. Done.
So where does all this seriousness come from?
Where does all
The seriousness come from?
it comes from having been taught to believe that you're not worthy.
So smart. Thank you.
So are all of you if you would just pay attention to yourselves.
I just wanted to add one piece.
Yes.
That whenever I'm confused or lost or I have a question, I just ask myself, what would Bashar tell me?
And again, your higher mind will answer you. Yes?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a question. You once spoke about how the Bible had a lot of the stories of Atlantis. And I was wondering if you could potentially elaborate a little bit on which part of that.
The flood.
Yeah.
The flood is the story of the destruction of Atlantis.
Okay, the flood, primarily.
Yes, because the asteroidal or cometary body that slammed into what you call the Atlantic Ocean created great tsunamis that wiped out Atlantis, but also affected many other parts of the nearby land masses, such as your North and Central South America, your Africa, Mediterranean, and European coastlines, and Middle Eastern. So therefore, the idea of the story of the flood is a racial memory of the destruction caused by the tsunamis from that impact in your ocean.
Awesome. And how many ancient cultures were given the information of the things from that time to our prehistory of the precession of the equinox and the coming of the golden age?
Given by Atlantean survivors, you mean?
Yes.
Well, Egypt obviously was given information. Many places in Europe were. The British Isles were given a lot of that information. Some information was also spread back into the North, Central, and South American continents. And the idea of it stretching all the way into your Asiatic continents, the buildings of certain structures, such as pyramids around your world, and so on and so forth, certain kinds of temples that align with the idea of stellar phenomenology, are in general representative of some of the ancient knowledge that the survivors of Atlantis spread around the world to help people understand that these things do happen, that these cycles can reoccur, and to prevent such destruction from happening again if possible.
Excellent. And are these beings, did they achieve immortality?
Are you talking about Atlanteans?
The Atlantean priesthood.
Physical immortality? No.
No. Okay.
No.
Got it. So, but in spirit, those beings are still connected very strongly to the Earth sphere.
Of course. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them have gone on to other things. But it will always remain as part of them, because any experience always remains as a part of you, no matter what state you're in, physical or non-physical. It's a part of who you are.
That's beautiful. And I have a question about the Ark of the Covenant in the same proportions of the coffer and the Great Pyramid. Were those the same dimensions?
There are relationships between them. They're not absolutely the same dimensions, but there are similarities in ratios that work in both of them.
Got it. Because you once talked about the coffer and the Great Pyramid being a certain dimension with the granite, so you could...
Yes. So it's more about the idea of resonant ratios than it is actual physical dimensions. It's more like scaling something up or down, but making sure that they still contain the same energetic ratios.
Okay, cool. And they were used for different purposes.
Yes, it can be.
Yes, well, the Ark of the Covenant was more of a step-down transformer of energy for what?
For a variety of purposes, yes. For communication, for energy release, for providing certain kinds of vibrational states, different applications for different needs at different times. It could be adjusted.
Okay. Is it true that, like in the movie we have of Indiana Jones, where the Ark of the Covenant was talked about how it could be used for malicious purposes as well, or purposes in the wrong hands?
It could. It could. Again, like any device, like any equipment, it can be used for positive or negative reasons.
Yes. Was this a standard part of technology in the Atlantean civilization that was given to Egypt?
Again, the basic premises were understood in Atlantis, but it wasn't exactly used in the same way. It's all about resonance. It's all about frequency. It's all about ratios and proportions and relations between them. So the basic concepts were understood, but they weren't used quite in the same way.
Okay, how would they be used different?
In Atlantean times, the vibrational resonances that existed in the Ark were used for the propagation of light and energy.
Okay, because this had to do with more of their crystal technology in those days?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. And an important question I have to ask, which is going around a lot right now in the New Agey community, is this big shift of integrity and people working through all sorts of different things. Yes. But I feel a huge misunderstanding in the New Agey community is people misunderstanding the idea of right and wrong, how you speak about it.
Yes.
Because I know you are talking about positive energy and negative energy.
Yes.
But people will take these things of right and wrong and, create kind of a not clear life of having a grounded moral compass.
Yes, of course. There is alignment and there is misalignment. And many people will have misunderstandings and misinterpretations of many of the concepts that we have discussed with all of you, because they are not necessarily as practiced as they could be and not necessarily as refined in their understanding of these concepts. In a sense, I'm going to put it in an old kind of colloquial way. Again, not meaning to be negative per se, but you'll understand it through this simple mnemonic. Many people know just enough metaphysics to be dangerous.
Yes.
When they arrive at a certain point of understanding, they think they know enough. They think they know it all. And therefore, a lot of their applications are misguided. They don't take the time to go more deeply into their understanding of how things actually work, and therefore they can be misled and be misleading to others and misinterpret many different kinds of things. So again, it's about either really truly being clear and having a deep understanding, a clear understanding of how things work, or not. But again, it's up to each individual to decide for themselves what they do and don't align with, and that's part of the experience and part of the process. So it also helps us determine who actually is ready and is not ready for contact. So that's okay.
Yes. And I have a lot of born again Christian friends,
Yeah.
you know, that were from the New Age, and found Jesus and everything, and now they cast everything aside that is not Jesus. So everything is.
Then they don't actually understand Jesus.
Mm.
Because there have been many misinterpretations and misrepresentations and misunderstandings about what Jesus actually said and what he was all about, because a lot of the dialogue that came from him and others around him have been altered for the purposes of political power and certain kinds of gain, and therefore you don't really have an absolutely thoroughly accurate representation of what was really said at the time. Plus, in not understanding Jesus in the full capacity of his expression, then many people who purport to understand him or purport to believe in him actually have no understanding of the fact that he was presenting both a male and a female aspect in the Mary of the Magdalene. This is a couple. This is a male and female representation in balance, and many of the things that were actually talked about are extremely metaphysical and not exactly what the idea of the Christian belief system purports to be true.
Mm. Got it. So more, this is hard for me to ask, but more like how you've said the Magdalena things and more of the Essenian stuff and the Rosicrucian stuff is a little more core.
Even there are misinterpretations in those. It is more the pure idea of the understanding of the balance between male and female in the expression of Yeshua and Maria, or Miriam the Magdalene.
So more just the simplicity of harmony between the sexes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the idea of the understanding of both sides' connection in balance to all that is, and the expressions thereof, many of which are very familiar now to those who have listened to metaphysical concepts in your modern age. A lot of what was expressed that can be found in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene are actually very metaphysical concepts as you would recognize them in your modern age. Remember, she was his chief disciple.
Yes. Beautiful. So very, very simple. It almost connects to just yin and yang and the basics of proportion.
There is a book that exists on your planet that may be of assistance to you in understanding some of this. And it is a book that is called When God Had a Wife. Investigate that, and it will give you a lot of information about more accurate representations of the positions of male and female energy throughout your history. Much of it is not what you think because of what has been made of it and what has been left out and what has been corrupted.
When God
Had a Wife.
Beautiful. Yes, I will look into that. Thank you, Bashar.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bashar. You helped me so much today. I truly appreciate you.
It is our passion and our pleasure and our deep appreciation to all of you as well. Good day.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar. It's Tammy from Israel. Can you tell us more about Yael and Pleiadians' world? Like how many hours do they sleep and what do they eat and how their structures looks like? What do they do in their daily lives? Thank you. I love you. Bye.
That's a lot of information. We will not be delivering all of that. However, both civilizations do not sleep much at all. And it depends upon what you call sleep, because they can make connections to their spirit selves in a more constant way than you do. and therefore don't need the idea of sleep in the same way that you do. They might even just drop into what you would call a meditative state temporarily, and it would accomplish the same thing that you're accomplishing by having many hours of sleep. So neither of them really sleep much in that sense. The idea, again, of food is that it is usually of a lighter quality, more of the idea of either juices or vegetables in that sense. And in their daily lives, it depends upon the individual. Some are creatively artistic, some are scientifically investigative, some have many different kinds of functions according to their passions. So in that sense, they have a lot of similarity, even though they have a lot of differences as well. For the Pleiadians are mostly your genetic cousins in the sense of being of assistance to you to move forward in your civilization in an exciting way that brings you closer together. Whereas the Yael are more specifically about introducing the hybrid children to your planet to begin the particular process of evolving into the sixth hybrid race.
Hello, hi Bashar, how are you?
Perfect, and you?
I'm great. Yeah, Bashar, so I have a question related to sacred circuits. So I wanted to know if tetraskelion, or the swastika symbol that was also used in the Nazi flag, with a circle in the center, a sacred circuit.
It is a sacred circuit, but on a higher level than we've delivered at this point. Understand that the swastika has been around for thousands of years and represents the idea of the flow of creative energy in the cosmos, in the universe. So yes, it's a sacred circuit that can help rewire the brain when focused on in a positive energy, in a positive state, to understand how to blend with and align with the creative energies of the universe, of all that is. But it has to be used that way. Obviously, the way the Nazis used it was a misunderstanding and a corruption of its original intention, which exists in many ancient civilizations, Tibetan, Native American, so on and so forth. They understood its original meaning and used it in its original way. So you can too, if you wish.
Okay, so is there a single word that we can associate with it?
A single word?
Yeah, like you have given for other sacred circuits.
Yes. Alignment with creation. It's not a single word, but it's a concept.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Bashar. And I also have a question related to the Anunnaki. So why was it out of integrity on part of the Anunnaki to create humans for their survival?
Because it was against their laws to do so.
Okay.
Because the idea of the creation, the injection of their genetic material to create a new species was simply not within the realm of their acceptable laws at the time, especially because they didn't necessarily guide those people correctly, where new Anunnaki had to come in to do so to make up for the mistakes that that group of Anunnaki that created Homo sapiens undertook. So they broke their laws in many different ways.
Okay.
Out of desperation.
Okay. And who was or what was Apep or Apophis that is said to have been attacking Ra, the ancient Egyptian god?
The idea of Apophis was simply the idea of the destructive principle.
Okay, so it was not an entity or some being.
Not in the way that you mean it, no. It's an archetypal energy that represents the energy of breaking things down, of destroying things so they can be rebuilt. Of course, there are many different interpretations that have happened on your planet.
Okay. And did the Sasquatch also have any incarnation connection to the ancient Orion system?
No.
Oh, okay. So they did not have any negative expressions of oppression or warfare.
They had their own pathway, but they do not share much of it with Homo sapiens.
Okay, so can we say, like, say the warfare and oppression is actually a genetic problem?
No. It's a training problem. It's a learning issue. It's a matter of happening into a system that has certain kinds of negative cycles associated with it in order for the purpose of overcoming them, of transforming them. But it's not really a genetic problem initially. It can embed itself in your genetics over time, but it doesn't originate because of the genetic structure.
Okay. And then you also mentioned that the Earth has a frequency of 7.85 hertz, and then Earth is also a world of cycles. So how does this frequency of 7.85 hertz cause the cyclic nature of the Earth?
It is the base cycle that encourages you to come back to alignment. The idea is that when the cycle becomes something other than that, when the frequency becomes something other than that, you can be going out of alignment and following the cycles of destruction. But by going back into alignment with the natural resonance of the earth, then you are bringing yourself back into alignment and thus allowing yourself to go beyond the original cycles that give you the opportunity to explore negativity and limitation.
Okay, Bashar. And can you share a vibrational phone number for Shambhala?
Shambhala, or Shangri-La, as some people refer to it, has a image that you can meditate on of 3 crystal spheres, one being pure white, one being soft blue, and one being soft pink.
Okay, in what shape, or
in a triangle?
Okay, in a triangle.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then I think I will have the last question now. So, what is your definition of death, Bashar? And is there a way to have life review that we have after dying while we are alive?
Yes, you can experience some degree of life review while you are alive, but in most cases that would be pointless because you're still alive. Therefore, you wouldn't necessarily have a complete life review. You may get moments of it, flashes of it, that can help you align yourself. But in the idea of transitioning into spirit, when you are done with this particular experience, then it is more appropriate for you to have the entire life review, because then you can understand the relationship and the connections between every single moment of the actual physical life experience. But sometimes when people are in certain circumstances and they say, oh, my life flashed before my eyes, in some sense they are tapping into the idea of life review because they truly believe that at any moment they might die. But there are other circumstances where you can come to an understanding, a gestalt understanding of something, and tap into the idea of recognizing what something was all about in your life. But you will not necessarily have an entire life review unless you are either close to death or have actually died.
Okay, Bashar.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Bashar.
Good day.
Yeah, good day to you too. Bye.
Hi, Bashar. This is Karen from Belgium. I have learned to trust the signs that I get on my path, and there are a lot of signs that have to do with ancient Egypt. So I would like to know something more about ancient Egypt. What was the main energy frequency in ancient Egypt? Where did the inhabitants came from? And were there connections to Sirius or to Orion? Can you speak a bit more about this? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, there were many connections to Sirius and ancient Orion in being played out in many civilizations on your planet over time. As we have said, there are many stories that are the continuation from many different places that allow you to play them out and figure out how you would like them to conclude or move on by joining the Earth cycle of opportunity to explore those things. We're not sure what you're asking when you say what was the frequency of ancient Egypt, because you're talking about a combined frequency of many, many hundreds of thousands of different individuals. If you're looking for an overall representation of ancient Egypt as a resonant frequency, you could say that they were existing somewhere, depending on who was involved, in the neighborhood of about 60 to 70,000 up to 80,000 cycles per second. But again, it depends upon what era. It depends upon what their focus was at that particular time. It depends upon how many remnants of the Atlantean civilization they incorporated into their culture.
and many other things. So we can't necessarily give you one particular frequency, but a range of frequencies from somewhere around 50 to 60 to 70 to 80,000 cycles per second, depending upon who was doing what in that culture at the time. Good day.
Hello. Hi, Bashar. How are you?
Perfect. And you?
Thank you very much. Good as well. Perfect
Good.
as you are.
All right.
Bashar, I'm very happy to tell you that finally we have a result that prove that the devices that you describe are actually resonators.
Yes.
And we receive 10 times the amplitude of the input. We receive a resonant frequency 10 times greater. But we receive it with the cones that you describe, with the most primitive version.
That's why we gave you that basic form to begin with. It is the core of everything that you are exploring.
Yes, and the frequency that we have resonance is 80 kilohertz, but very interestingly, we have a secondary resonant frequency, which is 3 times higher.
Yes.
240 kilohertz. Again, the resonance is 10 times greater.
Yes.
What I would like to ask you is that we know that sometimes higher voltage does not mean a generation of power. How we can improve this? Is there anything else we can do to improve this? Because my passion is to explore the space-time fields and create the device.
And then explore it. You will discover what you need. We have given you enough so that you will have the momentum to use your own imagination, to explore what you need, to find what you need at this moment. You have enough to go on, as you have just discovered and as you have just stated. You're getting the results that you need to take you further.
And I would like to share with you that we have also result. I was listening to your words alone among the nature to get more information of what you have said already.
Yes.
And finally realized that the insulating plates of the anti-gravity device, they need to be not so wide. They need to be gaps.
All right. Well, you see, that's exactly what we're saying. When you take it upon yourself to go into the places that you're attracted to go and go into the states that you're attracted to be in, you will get the information you need. It will be downloaded from many different sources, including us, but you have the ability now to do these things by putting yourself in the proper frame of mind, in the proper environment that is conducive to getting the information that you need. So you now have these abilities. You don't need us as much as you think you do.
Okay.
All right.
My last question is, because you say that some help from Sirius, is there any message or is there any particular permission slip I can using to connect?
Focus on the Mobius strip.
Mobius strip, like the loop, like infinity loop.
Yes. Focus on that in a meditative state. It will help you download the information that you need.
Any particular colors like blue and white and
we leave that up to you, but remember the colors of the signature of Sirius.
Yes, I just make a meditation on that.
All right. Thank you.
Bashar, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You are welcome.
You're talking to your own higher mind right now. It's just that we are happy to function as a mask, as a filter, in a sense, as a flavor for you to let it be all right to talk to your own higher mind through us. But you're actually speaking with your own higher mind right now.
Yes, I actually had that experience last night. I realized I was talking to my higher self.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
Okay.
Well, you still are.
Okay, the problem that I'm here to ask you about.
You mean a challenge?
Oh, yeah, a big challenge is.
All right, big challenge, but a big challenge doesn't mean it has to be defined as a problem. That's what we're saying.
Well, it's a struggle.
That's all right, it doesn't have to be.
I wish I could choose it not to be, but.
You can choose it not to be.
It's easier said than done.
That's a belief.
Okay, can I just ask my question?
Yes, you can.
I'm just curious if you could remember back to when your people, your species went through this change that we're going through, how you lived your life at the same time. I'm finding a lot of pain involved in letting go of old concepts.
The only reason you would have pain in letting go of old concepts is you don't believe that you need to let them go. You believe they're serving you still. Remember, you hold on to nothing. Nothing. that you don't actually believe is somehow serving you. No matter how painful they may be to hold on to, what you're actually saying is the alternative is worse.
How do I get to the bottom of how it's serving me?
Very good question. And here's how you can do it, at least one way. The idea is to understand what we have called the motivational mechanism. Again, please understand, this is automatic for everyone. There is absolutely nothing you really need to do to make this work. It's already working. You just have to allow yourself to understand how it works so that you can use it in a way that you prefer to, instead of using the mechanism in a way that you don't prefer. You follow me so far?
Yes.
All right. The motivational mechanism is simply this. And I mean there are no exceptions to this. Not even you. You follow me?
Yes.
All right. You will always, immediately, automatically move in the direction of what you believe to be in your best interests. You will always immediately and automatically move away from what you believe is not in your best interest. Knowing that, that should tell you something. If you are holding on to something that you know intellectually is not in your best interests, and you understand the motivational mechanism I just described, the only way that that could stick around is if you have defined it in the motivational mechanism as actually being in your best interest more than the alternative. Or vice versa, you have defined the thing that you say you prefer as actually somehow being more scary, more fearful than the thing you don't prefer. And so you're so afraid of the thing you do prefer for some reason, based on some belief you're holding on to, that you're willing to put up with the pain and struggle of the thing you don't prefer just because it's more familiar. Just because it feels safer, because you're so much more scared of the thing you don't know about.
And
Does this make some sense?
Oh yeah, I've heard this many times from you, but how
But
do
it's
I,
not sinking in.
I can't figure it out. How do I move forward? I want to move forward so bad.
Well, you have to find out what it is you're holding on to. You've heard us give the example of the idea of how people on your planet are raised with different definitions of money.
Yes.
Can you apply that idea to yourself at all about the contradictory beliefs that you are raised with that create conflict within you until such time as you actually consciously identify those beliefs? Because only by consciously identifying them can you let them go. If you don't know what they are, you have nothing to work with.
I know what my beliefs are. I guess I feel like I'm swimming upstream. Like
I don't care what you feel like.
Like my ego,
I understand what you feel like. But again, remember, the feeling only comes because you believe something to be true. You can't have a feeling without believing something to be true first. So if you have a feeling you're swimming upstream, you have got to be defining something in your life in that way. You yourself said it a moment ago. Easier said than done. These are just belief systems. They're not empirical truths. There is absolutely nothing about the phrase, easier said than done, that is an absolute law of creation. It's you that is giving it solidity by believing in that idea. You're the one giving it form. You're the one giving it shape for some reason. Find out what the reason is why you are buying into those kinds of limiting ideas that produce struggle, strife, pain. Remember, pain is resistance to the natural self. So what is it about being your true natural self? What is it about the thing you prefer to be that is so much scarier than what you're already holding on to that you don't prefer? What would be the worst, most terrifying thing you can imagine would happen if you actually let go of all of these fears and negative definitions and actually allowed yourself to be who you preferred to be? What would be the scariest thing that you imagine might happen if you did that?
Yeah, I wouldn't know who I am anymore.
Now, all right, very good. Yeah. Now, why would you assume that to be true?
Because I define myself from my experiences and all the people around me. And if I move on to a whole different belief system,
yes,
I'll kind of be out there by myself.
Well, may I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Haven't you ever moved from one belief system to another ever in your life?
Yes.
Well, was that a problem for you?
Well, it was, but when I got there, I was okay.
So what makes you think it's not going to be okay again? How many examples of doing that do you need before you get the point that it's always okay?
Okay.
How many times do you have to give yourself that symbol, that reflection, before you know it will actually always be okay? How many times? It's up to you. I'm not pushing you. How many times have you already done it?
Innumerable, and it's been very painful. So maybe I'm getting from you, if I just kind of let go with it, the pain will kind of go away too.
It will not kind of go away.
It will.
It won't exist in the reality of the person that you actually prefer to be, because by definition, that person doesn't experience pain and struggle and resistance. You see, you have to watch your definitions. You have a definition that says, if I become who I prefer to be, there's something about that that's going to be painful. But if you actually listen to what you just said, you would realize that that's nonsensical. How could becoming who you prefer to be contain a definition of being something that is not what you prefer?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Your definitions are muddled. That's where you're having the difficulty. You're not listening to the definitions you're actually using to define who it is you prefer. You're creating your own contradictory definitions about who that person is. If that really is the you prefer to be, it cannot, by definition, contain the elements of negativity that you're describing. Otherwise, it can't be that you. It wouldn't be that you. It would make no sense. So what you're defining is someone that isn't who you prefer to be. But when you define clearly who it is you do prefer to be, and you allow yourself to be that person, it will not contain anything that is irrelevant for that particular person. Your life is negative.
And I don't want to live in that other world emotionally
Then
anymore.
don't.
Okay, how?
Again, when you say real life,
Which means going to work and all that.
so
business,
what?
yeah.
Does that just mean that you're not doing what you love to do?
No, I like it, but it's so different. It has a different feel to it, you know?
Then you're not doing what you love to do.
I mean, I'm really happy that I go to work. I'm like, I like my job, but I just feel
Do
so
you
unhappy.
do what you love to do or not? Yes
I know you've
or
had this
no?
conversation a lot. Okay, I used to really love it then. Okay.
Is there something else you would rather be doing?
I'd like to be retired, yeah, and pursue this kind of life all the time where I'm just happy.
Well, why not do that?
That's the hard part, I guess. Okay.
Why are you saying that's hard? You're the one making it harder.
Yeah, you're right.
There is nothing empirically true that what it is you prefer to do has to be hard in the way that you mean it. Yes, of course, there will always be some challenge. Yes, of course, you might have to actually take some actions and do things. But if it's truly a labor of love, it won't feel like a labor. It will be a joy.
Okay.
Are you picking up on this?
Very much so. And I just got, do you understand
When
how...
you say very much so, unless you actually exhibit the behavior that goes along with it, it's not very much so. Remember, action and knowing are synonymous. So if you're not actually acting like it, you don't know it yet. Do you have a small object, coin, pen, anything at all that you can put in your hand, piece of jewelry?
Yes, I have one now.
Put it on the floor. Did you do it?
Yes.
Pick it up. Did you do it?
Yes.
Action and knowing are synonymous. What you know you can do, you just do. You don't think about it. You didn't go, I believe I can pick it up. I think I can pick it up. I'm not sure. Might be hard to bend over and pick that up. Not necessarily as easy as it sounds, perhaps. Oh, let me think about all the different things that could happen between here and picking it up. You didn't do any of that. You just picked it up because you innately knew in every fiber of your being that you could. Action and knowing are synonymous. So when you say, oh, yes, I get it, but you're not doing it, you don't get it. You don't know it yet. So when you act like you know it, you will know it. And when you know it, you will act like you know it. Is this making some sense?
Perfect. I totally understand it. Can I just
Do
say
you?
one more thing? I do, but moving away from all the people I work with, my family, all
So
my
what?
friends.
So what? So what? So what?
And was that easy for you to do when you had to do it?
I never had to do it.
But your kind went through this progression, right?
Not as much as your society, no.
Ah, okay.
But we understand the concept and have incarnations in realities, such as yours, that do go through those things, which is what gives us the understanding of those concepts. Otherwise, it would be too alien to us. Nevertheless, the idea is that when we allow ourselves to know that everything is neutral and doesn't have built-in meaning, and we supply the meaning that we prefer, we always get the effect that we prefer regardless of what's going on around us. So when we know that the things and opportunities that are presented to us in our lives are always there, always, without exception there, for us to put a positive meaning into them and get a positive effect out of, because that's our choice, then we know that that's all we will experience. And therefore, what hesitation would we ever have to move forward when we know that everything we will ever do, no matter how challenging, will always only be experienced in a positive and joyful way, because that's our choice.
And even this day, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to come here, and I woke up and I said, I have to go see Bashar because I'm going to get called. I'm going to get this opportunity. And
well,
I did.
There you go.
And I was like, I wasn't even surprised, but no one who I know would understand that way of thinking. And I
do
see
you
them
understand this way of thinking?
Do I know it?
Now you can't say that anymore.
I see everyone suffering around me, and I can't help them.
So what?
Just let them.
You understand this very importantly. By staying in your fear, you're not helping them. By moving into your joy is the only way you can help them, because you're giving them an example to let them know they could choose to live in their joy too. But if you don't live in your joy, you never give them the chance to see that it can be done.
Thank you. That really helps me.